Welcome to a new presentation by Life Positive. It's a poem. The poem is entitled Sunset to Sunrise, Darkness to Light, Anarchy to Democracy. It's a poetic reflection on democracy and freedom against unruly autocratic rule. Let us enjoy the poem. Sunset to Sunrise is the title. The night was dead and the sun was blind. Brains were sealed, the tongues were tied. Beautiful expression. Beautiful expression. The night is not alive. The night is dead. And since night is dead, the sun is also blind. The function of the brain is to think logically, but the situation was such that the brains were sealed. They were not allowed to think. And the freedom of expression was suspended, which is indicated by tongues were tied. Second stanza. Thoughts were suppressed and the truth was fined. Freedom was fired and liberty was lamed. In a democratic country, the four pillars of democracy were set aside, and two pillars of their democracy is freedom and liberty. Freedom was fired and liberty was lamed. This became so because the thoughts were not allowed. The truth was neglected. The third stanza. Corruption crept like untrimmed Congress grass. Nepotism engulfed the government engross. What were the side effects? Corruption, unruly growth of Congress grass, nepotism. So these were the results because of the suspension of democracy. Fourth stanza. Whims were writs and rights were wronged. Souls were silenced and rest was robbed. The citizens in India, their rest was robbed. The rightful actions were suspended and everything worked on whims. Let us look at the fifth stanza. Constitution was condemned and courts were cramped, laws were buried, and patriotism was banned. Then a day dawned when Almighty got alarmed. Ballots were offered and conscience was called. There is a ray of hope in stanza number 6. Something bright is happening against the gloomy calm. Truth triumphed and terrors were disarmed. Voters wiped villains and heroes got applaud. We held democracy and darted demons by virtues and by nature. We are proved democrats. Nights and nightmares, fears and fetters, restrictions and restraints, preventions and prohibitions, all withered away. Whatever was described up to stanza number 5, the poet is repeating and recalling it in alliterative mode. Nights and nightmares, fears and fetters, restrictions and restraints, preventions and prohibitions. N, F, F, R, and P, all withered away. Stanza number 10. Censors and sanctions, all these have gone forever. Horrifying dream ended. The horrifying dream that the citizens experienced up to stanza number 5 is now over. And in the last stanza, the poet comes with a bright ray of hope. Let us breathe freely. The poet requests the citizens of India, let us breathe freely and rejoice the dawn, because democracy is restored, and the poet is asking all his fellow brothers and sisters, the fellow citizens, the fellow nationalists, to sing a song of liberty, because liberty is restored. The poem describes suppression and silence. The poem begins with describing the dark time where thoughts were suppressed and voices were silenced. This reflects the intense oppressive period. And because of oppression, the oppression gave birth to corruption. The poet depicts the corruption which was the byproduct of suppression in the dark night. Corruption is depicted as pervasive, uncontrollable, and it is likened to unchecked and overgrowth Congress grass. The Congress grass depicts the moral decay in the government. The next stanzas depict the dawn of change. The first dawn is awakening of the people. After the darkest nights, a new ray of hope comes. A new day breaks. The people are awakened. They vote against the tyranny. They vote against the oppression. They vote against the suspension of democracy. And they vote for justice and freedom. There is when the people they cry against oppression and darkness, the truth triumphs. The triumph of truth over tyranny is celebrated as voters rid themselves of the corrupt leaders and applaud the emergence of the true democratic heroes. The poem is full of imagery and metaphors. The poem is full of vivid descriptions, apt words placed at apt places. The poet uses vivid imagery and strong metaphors to paint a picture of a dark, oppressive past, along with a hopeful, vibrant future. There is a balance in painting of the poet. The symbolism of light and darkness is used by the poet. The symbolism is used effectively to contrast the despair of the night and the hope and renewal represented by the dawn. And this symbolism, this imagery adds depth to the poet's and poem's message. Let us talk about the emotional resonance of the poet and the poem. The poet is invoking fear and hope, both. The poem skillfully invokes emotions of fear and despondence, followed by the sense of hope, liberation, engaging the reader's emotion throughout the poem. The final stanza, stanza number 11, 10, 11, carry the celebratory tone, encouraging the readers to rejoice their newfound freedom and the restoration of the democracy. Please offer your comments on the poem. The background of the poem is detailed in the description. Kindly support the poet who has penned this poem when he was a student, and a poem was published on the walls of ILS Law College, Pune, Maharashtra, India. Thank you.